6 American things I can no longer live without. My friends, I really wonder what those things are. But before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. Is the best way to show support. Now, if you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Link for the original video in my description and
Hello, I'm Lawrence and I'm on a quest to uncover all of the memos that Britain and America lost in the pond, and one of those memos pertains to things and stuff. Specifically, things and stuff that after living in the United States for nearly 16 years, I can no longer live without. And this video is sponsored by Mondly, who are offering 96% off lifetime access at mondly.app/lostinthepond. When I first moved here in 2008, I had all these British people saying, "Ooh, don't you become all Americanized?" And I hope those people aren't watching, because as you can see, there's no going back.
Wait, just because of the baseball cap? My friends, some people have been telling me that I'm getting more Americanized and less European. And that's crazy because I never went to America. But if you really think about it, makes sense. I watch American things in a daily basis. And I love it.
Become Americanized to the extent that I am now in fact an American citizen, and because of that, and since I've lived here for so long, you really do start to pick up an attachment to certain things. And people who've been subscribed to this channel for a long time are probably expecting me to say air conditioning right off the bat, because I've done that 1,000 times, and it's because I've done it 1,000 times that I'm not going to do it in this video, but just take it as read that AC ordinarily is one of the things I can't live without, even though I did in Britain.
Okay, so let me make a couple of predictions. And by the way, this thing about air conditioning is becoming quite more popular in Europe. Most of the new houses nowadays, they tend to have air conditioning, but 6 American things I can no longer live without. Interesting, my friends. I'm gonna go with American food. That's one. I should make at least 2 or 3 predictions, right? American food will be one. The second one could be, I don't know, American friendliness. Is that even a word? I hope so. English, not a main language. And the third one could be accessibility. Oh my god, today I'm going crazy with English. Basically accessibility in the sense that I know you guys have stores open for a long time, sometimes even 24 hours, right? You guys also have drive-thrus that go into this accessibility thing. So I'm going to go with those 3 predictions.
For 26 years. And if you aren't yet subscribed to this channel, do that now!
Okay. Do it for me, my friends.
In the meantime, here are American things that I can no longer live without.
Let's do it. Drive-thrus!
I feel like this one is just really embarrassing, because when I lived in England, we knew...
Yo, drive-thrus makes a lot of sense. You guys even told me that I can marry my wife again. Wait, that's not possible. Well, either way, that I could marry someone in a drive-thru. How crazy is that? For me, a pharmacy drive-thru is already insane. You know, here what we have is basically that. Not Wendy's. We don't have Wendy's. Yeah. But we have McDonald's. Yeah, drive-thru.
About drive-through restaurants in America and thought that looks a bit too extravagant. What's wrong with catching a bus and then walking the extra half a mile to get to the place and ordering your food there? At least then you justify the calories you're about to eat at, say, McDonald's. And I held on to that feeling for quite a while, but then I turned 40 and
looking good.
realised that I like my comforts, that I'm lazy, and that my dog Arthur really likes drive-thrus because it often comes with the promise of a puppuccino. And since I left Britain, I have heard that drive-thrus have popped up in Britain. And if you are British and you are watching this, have you experienced drive-thrus where you live? And if so, do they drive in the opposite direction around the building to here?
Oh, that's crazy. Never thought about that. But it's right. Am I right, my friends? That stuff is weird. But being a bit more serious, drive-thrus are actually popular here for fast food. But that's it. Pharmacy, stuff like that. It's not drive-thrus, ATMs and stuff like that. We don't have that. Drive-thrus, ATMs is something that I would enjoy, I think. But about this idea of Europeans becoming more Americanized, or the world, better saying, becoming more Americanized, I think this is 100% true. And one of the things that I always tend to bring... Okay, 2 things actually. Peanut butter, Halloween. André, what? Oh yeah. Yeah, look, when I was a kid, no one eated peanut butter. No one. If you went to school with a peanut butter sandwich, I don't know, maybe social security takes you away off your family or something. That was something. Oh, what the hell is going on in this house? Nowadays, it's not the case. It's actually quite popular. I tend to love peanut butter, and I started loving peanut butter even before starting this channel. And the thing about Halloween is that Halloween is. It was not a thing again 20 years ago. Not a thing in a major way. Nowadays, there is a lot of parties. We don't have the things of kids going and asking for treat or retreat. I don't know that well. But basically, it's more for adults. But it's becoming a huge thing. Mixer faucets.
Number 2, mixer taps. You might have seen my YouTube short from last week where I spoke about this phenomenon, which is less of a phenomenon and more just the norm in most places in the world, but not in Britain. And if you don't know the reasons for that, go and watch the short in question. The point is, in the house that I grew up in Britain and just most...
You know what? I'm going to watch that short. My friends, let's play it.
Here's a deep question. Why do American sinks only have one faucet? The reason that I ask is...
Oh, okay. So this thing is actually coming in Portugal. I think this is different in the UK, but not here.
Is that where
back in the day there was 2 faucets. Nowadays one is the common standard.
I grew up in Britain. Most sinks had 2 separate faucets, one for hot and one for cold.
Yeah.
In the US, hot and cold water runs from something called a mixer tap. So what's going on with America? Well, it turns out that much of the rest of the world is with America on this one.
Yeah,
and the
like
question should actually be, what's going on with Britain?
Yeah,
this quirk, which is often remarked upon by tourists from across the globe, was introduced to British kitchens and bathrooms in an effort to avoid contamination. You see, both the hot and cold water in most British homes come from different locations. The cold from a main supply, the hot from a cistern upstairs or in the attic. So, historically, the taps were separated in large part to stop hot water merging with cold water, which people relied on for hydration. But in 2024, virtually all American sinks feature mixer taps, the benefits of which are felt when washing your hands, because they allow you to do so without burning or freezing them off. Here's a deep question. Why do American sinks only have one...
Okay, my friends, let's go back to the video. Lawrence is amazing doing this type of stuff. Let's continue.
Most houses in Britain...
Actually, let's run a bit back.
Question. The point is, in the house that I grew up in Britain, and just most houses in Britain, the bathrooms and the kitchens have sinks with separate hot and cold taps.
It's the same thing.
For 26 years, I had to wash my hands like this. Get some soap, nice and foamy. Turn on the hot tap while getting foam on it. Run your hands under that. That's bloody hot. Turn on the cold tap to cool them down. Ah, that's nice. That's really nice. It's actually getting a bit too cold now, and they're done. And I never once thought to myself...
Let's be real, it's an awful idea.
Must be an easier way to do this. I did turn the taps off too, I'm not wasting water. And then I moved to America and I noticed there was just one faucet in the sinks in the house that I lived in initially. I just thought, well, maybe this is a quirk of this particular house, and didn't really think too much of it. But I did like the fact that you could choose the temperature that came out of the tap. It didn't have to be scalding hot, it didn't have to be freezing cold, it could be somewhere in between. That said...
Well, to be honest here, I have the same technology in my house, but sometimes I struggle to find the perfect temperature, sometimes, too hot, oh no, it's cold. I don't know what's going on, but sometimes I struggle with this.
I don't think in the middle is the perfect temperature. That's too lukewarm. I'm the sort of person who gets his steak medium well, and so when I've had a steak and my hands are all greasy, I like my temperature to be medium well. I might have thought about this too much.
Vans.
One of the biggest American things that I can't live without, and one that I've not really spoken about publicly, is vans. And I know what you're thinking. What? Oh, Lawrence, you and Tara have a Prius. That's hardly a van, is it? Well, calm down, you keyboard warrior. Is it warrior? Warrior? Because I'm not referring to the vehicle type. I'm referring to Vans shoes.
No chance. He baited me again. Vans shoes. But we have those here.
And as you can see, these are a little worn and dog-eaten, and they're in the process of being replaced. But the point is, these are my favourite shoe brand. And you might be thinking, Lawrence, I didn't know you were a skater boy, because as we know, Avril Lavigne is a massive fan of this channel. And I'm not a skater boy, although granted I did once have an addiction to Tony Hawk's 3. The point is, I am somebody with long legs, rubbish knees, and I don't like shoelaces. Now, I should add that Vans has lace-up shoes too, but they are pointless. ridiculous. Now, this is not sponsored by Vans.
No, I actually ended up using Vans when I was a kid. I enjoyed a lot the design of those. Nowadays, I don't like it that much anymore. But when I was a kid, I had a couple.
If it was, I'd probably show much nicer pairs of shoes. But I've just become a fan, you know, a van fan or a van. And they're comfortable. I walk in these every day with Arthur when he's not.
It's a popular brand in America.
And they've been everywhere with me, from the beaches of Lake Michigan to the mountainsides of West Virginia. And they've got the scars and the odour to prove it.
Yeah. American English?
Americans, did you ever think that you'd hear a British person say this? I can't live without American English. Now, for me, more than most people, that's true because firstly, it forms part of the basis of my job, comparing and contrasting our two countries' varieties of English. But it also plays a big part in my everyday life. I mean, firstly, I'm married to an American-born citizen. Secondly, and I've done videos about the precise Americanisms in question, I myself have picked some up. Many, in fact. You know, I come from a country where we are forever fearful of the Americanization of English within Britain. The thing is that
I wonder why.
I would say to that is that Britain lost that fight.
Washington really ended up traumatizing them.
A long time ago. For instance, any British person, and this is 90% of us, who've ever used the word hangover are upset that we have one, but at this point are probably completely unaware that the word hangover originated in American English more than a century ago. Now, I wonder if British people at the time had the same reservations over the word hangover as they do quite a lot of American English. But then it got me thinking, we don't take any issue with most American English terms that make it over to Britain. Whether it's military-derived words like radar or musical genres like jazz and rock and roll.
Okay, here I cannot add a lot because I don't speak either, you know, UK English or American English. I speak Russian English, as you guys tend to say, even though I'm not Russian. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. But if I had to choose one, I like the American English a bit more.
A word as simple as hello. American English and British English have long influenced each other and will continue to do so long after I'm dead. And on that happy note, it's time to get up off the sofa.
Mud rooms.
And that's because I want to talk about one particular room in my house, and that is the mud room. And
okay, my friends, not the first time I see him mentioning mud rooms, but be honest with me. Is this even common in America? A place where you can go dirty inside and that's it? Because at least is what I understand is going on. Actually, leave me a comment if you have one, or if you ever went to a home that had one. Because I also asked, and here could be me not understanding a couple of comments that I got the other day, but I also believe some Americans may not even know about this. Am I saying something stupid?
Even though you find
probably
mudrooms in other countries like Canada and even to some extent Britain, it just feels like more American houses have them. And you might be thinking, what is a mudroom? Well, a mudroom, as I've pointed out in previous videos, is a sort of entryway that just allows you to drag mud in there before you enter the main part of the house. I mean, that might not be its official purpose, but that's what I use it for. And especially since I got a dog. You know, he likes to run around in this yard. Sometimes he drags me too, and so...
Wait, but that's actually the official purpose, right? Because mudroom, the name says it all. You go dirty inside to you know, you leave maybe your clothes, but you don't go naked inside the house, right? That will be kind of weird. But basically, wait, but there is no shower in the mudroom. How can you clean yourself, actually?
When we come back from doing that, I make sure we hang out in here first so that I don't have to bother getting a towel and drying his feet off. But I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you the main reason that I've fallen in love with this mudroom is it's a very convenient place just to store rubbish. I don't mean mouldy rubbish like food or stuff like that, but just sort of empty boxes that I don't have room in the recycling bin for yet. I've just realised that everything on this list is something that I could live without if I wasn't lazy, but the fact of the matter is, I am, which brings us on to the final entry. Over the last 2 weeks...
Wait, is this really a big deal in America, this type of chairs? He mentioned this, he ended up mentioning those in another video. They look very comfortable, but again, I wonder how popular those are.
It's become very apparent to me that I couldn't make this video without including a piece of furniture that I spoke about a few weeks ago in a video all about American furniture, and that is Adoronda Chairs. It's been a good...
You know what, my friends, I love to react to this type of videos. Please do not forget to leave a like if you also have fun. And before we end, because we are already at the ending, let me say one thing. I've been putting some country music reactions on my Instagram and also on my Facebook. Both links are below. Alan Jackson, Dolly, George Strait, you name it, my friend. So go there if you want, if you like country music, and you may find my reactions funny. At least I hope so.
Few weeks. I've used them very often while sitting outside with Arthur. Now, granted, it is the summer, so it sort of makes sense that I am out here, but I can imagine that I'll probably be using these in the height of winter, just not in a t-shirt, but a winter jacket. Because like vans, they are comfortable. And you might be thinking, aren't they just like a deck chair? And firstly, no, because you don't have to fold them up and put them away. And secondly, on deck chairs, your arse doesn't fall back because there's not that diagonal slope, whereas with these, there is. And again, appeals to my laziness. And then of course the arms that I spoke about in that video are majestic. I mean, you can fit your phone on it for one, and number two, you could probably play an entire board game. I've got this idea that my wife or friends will bring along their other Adirondack chair, put it here so that they're sitting there, and we'll just put a board here, play checkers. The one thing that I didn't mention in that video is that they're really easy to clean, and I know that because they're constantly getting covered in bird shit. That is one of the downsides of having it under a magnolia tree, which is so massive I didn't really have any choice.
Final thoughts?
So that's my list, or at least a partial list, because like I said, there's hundreds of other things that I could have included. And if this video does well, my producers say, then we'll do a part two. If it tanks, then we'll just push that part two under the rug. If you did like this video and you were interested...
Okay, my friends, show him all the support, but I'm really surprised that no food ended up appearing here. DriveThrus I thought was a fair prediction, a good one actually, but man, no food here, that's crazy to me. But yeah, thank you. My friends, what are the American things you can no longer live without, André? You. Yeah. If you are having a bad day, always remember, we in this community, we all love you. So that said, thank you so much for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.